I don't know, Andy, if we want to just kick it off, because I really want to talk about Project 1111. I
No, it's
know
fine.
this is
As
something
long as you guys can hear me, that's fine. And in the replay, you'll see all three of us. But for whatever reason, I don't know, Instagram's update is messing everybody
I
up.
just
But
meant
it is what it
talking
is.
wise. I just meant talking wise. Like, I want to hear about Project 1111. I can't even wait a second. Like,
Yes,
sorry,
yes.
Chris,
But
I'm moving.
before,
I don't care about. I want to hear about Project
all right, because
1111.
I have yes, because I have a lot of questions. But before
Yeah.
we got you gotta do that thing, Chris, that you used to do back in the day. We was talking about
Welcome to the. You talking about? What are you talking about? You do it because I can't.
the pre-show before the show.
So Angela, Andy hits me up in a DM. He's like, "Yo, man, I remember when you used to do your show. You used to be like, welcome to the pre-show, before the show, after the show." It was just.
The
Oh, I can't
the
hear.
pre-show before the show.
Angela,
Yeah,
you muted? I can't hear Angela.
she's muted, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. I think
Good, because I was saying some crazy
you're
shit.
good.
No, I'm just kidding. I
You look
said
excited. You
Andy
look.
told me about this, and now I'm connecting it to the person now, the show before the show, because you were talking about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a
yeah,
hot,
the
hot
pre-show
mess.
before the show. Yeah, he used to be in Poetic View and he used to be in Foundations Poetry too.
You remember that? Dang, Andy.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like,
Yeah,
All right,
bro,
let's talk about
2020,
history then.
man.
I guess we're getting into it. We're talking
yeah.
history now. Let's hear about this, because I know about most of our guests, but I was not aware of how eclectic and vast your background was before now, because Project 1111, and I feel like a total asshole, it was kind of my like first knowledge into like you and who you are and what you stand for. And I'm like, why have I not seen you since now? Because it's
Yeah,
incredible what
no,
you're doing, and
I
your
remember
work is pretty great.
everything. Remember, there was a renaissance in 2020, man. That was like everybody was home, so I saw everybody go live when there was nothing else to do, or my son was sleeping or taking a nap. He would pop on, and yeah, that's how the whole pre-show before the show came around, and then there was this one. No, so if you look at the podcast from the early episodes, it was the May 18th edition of season one, and I did an open mic. And he actually shows up on the open mic. That was like the first encounter. If you were on the podcast, it was under the Jam Them Down banner before it
Gotta get.
became Unraveled Influence. And yeah, this is like all the way. This is like May 11th, 2020, I believe. And it was such an interesting live because also you know who introduced us? It was Her Words introduced
Oh,
us.
oh my gosh, super cool, man. Her words is so fire,
Her
man. So fire. Yeah.
and Penny Gianos was the other one too
Penny
that popped in.
Giano, my favorite. Oh my god, what a good soul, man. That's a good soul right there.
Yeah, man. But it seems like everybody disappeared or they're just not there anymore. It's so crazy
Sure.
how the
Yeah.
dynamics
I
changed.
think going back to like what Angela said, like sometimes like Angela, I've met so many different people at different times. Like how you said, like you didn't know me. And I'm honored and grateful again to like know you this well too, to even be on an interview with both of you. I just want to reiterate that. Thank you for doing this. And I started in Instagram just as a quick update. 2020, I was just like fiending, itching for poetry and to express myself, and with my best friend. And I didn't know y'all existed. I didn't know this world existed. I'm sure you got similar stories where you're like, wait, there's other people in here that like poetry as much as I do. And then you go through, and at the time, 2020 was just like, the Atticus time. Rupee was blowing up, and I think we were all.
Atticus, oh
and,
my God.
and then
Everybody hated that guy. Oh, that's the guy with the oh
I
my
I
God.
I I appreciate it. Like I get why they hated him, but I love that he put Instagram like on the map in the sense of where it was possible to grow, and
Yeah.
I appreciated that aspect of it, because I never thought it was possible. Like I didn't think you could
Yeah.
like this outlet could do that, and it gave me the belief that I could. So one of us could.
Yeah, but you know what's crazy when the community actually began, a lot of people don't know this, but this was back in 2011, 2012 during Tumblr days. That's when I first saw this community, and this is Tumblr days. I used to be on Tumblr. There was like a whole group. I forgot the name of the person. They were like they were like one of the beginning like that created the community page. those community thingies. I forgot her name, but she's actually very well known on here. You could actually wiki her. That's how crazy this is.
Yeah.
I think it's rapport or something like that. Very popular. And then Atticus is like number 2. But yeah, oh my God, you brought it back, bro.
Yeah. And that's basically where I started. I did like 500 episodes in a row every day. I never missed a day, Angela. And
Yeah.
I met a lot of people.
I believe it. Your dedication, it's probably pretty admirable. But I feel like I'm at a high school reunion that I just showed up for like half a senior year, and I'm loving like hearing all of the connection. Now, I remember everybody hated Atticus. I didn't know who I didn't know who that was.
Yeah.
I just knew when I came into the scene, Atticus. Fuck that guy. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Very
Atticus.
But that's not what we're here to
Oh
talk
my.
about. We're not here to
I
talk
know.
about Atticus. No offense,
All right,
Atticus.
so the more
Okay. We're here to hear about Project 1111. How many poets have we signed up right now? We have to get to 111.
Mm-hmm.
What number are we at?
So we're at 79 poets. So we're really close, 32 away from 111. 111 people, 111 possibilities where we could, maybe make a difference in one person's life on November 11th. And that's the idea behind it. I think a lot of us know that more recently than not, every 11 minutes, one person commits suicide. And it's very heartbreaking, like when you hear stuff like that, especially to statistics in any field. But I think when I realized, like, I think we all do at one point or another, Angela or Andy, like, you realize, like, your words actually matter. Like, y'all hosting, like, media outlet, poetry, writing, just open mics, let alone, you realize how powerful your words are when they're used with good intentions, like y'all are doing. And I can't wait to see what y'all doing after this this venture, and you go on you try to work the foundations again. Andy was telling me a little bit about it, and you never know what you're capable of doing. So I was like, you know what, let's see if we could bring energy, just use our words, our poetry, as poets really do well, to maybe uplift other people. And I think with those intentions, we could make a really big difference in like one person's life, maybe multiple. Yeah.
I'm so sorry, but we're actually up to 80 poets now because our friend Justar, where in the world is Justar Misdemeanor Artist? She's traveling across the U.S. She's from over the pond. She's my twin. I can't wait to twin up with her. But she said
if you're
just sign up. But before anybody else signs up and you didn't hear about it, what are they signing up for? Because you just told us the why and the importance of this project. But what are you tasking us to do? Now we need to just actually. We were at 78 or were we 79? It doesn't matter. The point is, we were trying to have 111 people do what on 11/11.
Crazy, right?
We can't all do 11/11, guys, on 11/11. Okay.
Yes, for those who are just but for those who are just popping in right now, just explain one more time what 1111 Project is and why.
Absolutely. So it's based and rooted, and I'll get to like what Angela was saying about like how you can actually participate. So it's every 11 minutes, one person commits suicide. I wanted to create a project. I wanted to lead poets because I believe like we're so powerful with our words, where maybe we could show up instead of like, maybe sometimes it's hard to talk about, and I think what's good for us is if we can bring energy. Like that's something I love doing, and naturally, obviously you can tell, like I love giving energy that's uplifting and hopeful, and where you can feel it on the screen or you can feel it in real life, and you're just like, okay, this is different. And I hope that we can do that on November 11th for someone who may be depressed, maybe sad, maybe feel alone and like hopeless, that they see Andy pop up and he pulls something out of the bag and he starts spitting poetry and he starts sharing and they feel uplifted. So imagine 111 poets doing that. So on November 11th, the goal is to have 111 poets go live at any time that day you choose on your account, and you just share for 11 minutes. If we can maybe hopefully inspire somebody not to take their life, hopefully inspire someone to not feel alone, hopefully inspire somebody to just keep going maybe the next day. Like, come on, like what?
Yeah.
Like that would be so cool. You know what I mean?
Absolutely would. And I'm going to say this because for people who might not be, I mean, everybody's affected by suicide. I definitely have two personal talking points I want to get into to, talk more about why this mission is so important to prevent and connect. But for people who might not understand, because here's what this question is coming from. The first talking point is we've all known somebody at this point. It's like cancer. Somebody who's committed suicide, whether it's a family member, a friend, a colleague, a coworker.
Yeah.
I had this experience when I was a senior in high school. There was a friend of mine who had tragically committed suicide, and now knowing, like, this was back in the 90s or 2000s, but now looking back, this person was probably experiencing what somebody who was transgender would be experiencing. So they took their life at the time, and people didn't understand her. We wanted to honor her. We played in the soccer team together, so we wanted to have black ribbons with her number on it, but the school said we couldn't do it. And because they took a position, if we're all doing this, we're trying to make suicide okay. And again, that's not what the message is. It's that we are trying to talk about this. It's not something to like throw it. We got to talk about this. And for people who might not understand, like, it might not be that day that we prevent it. It might be a month from now, a year from now, and they just remembered this experience. So it is going to do that, because it's not going to be, we might not save somebody that day, but we could save somebody in the future too by doing this.
Go ahead, Angela. Go ahead.
Sorry, I tried to be a little too convoluted. I wanted to kind of organize it in a logical way. But
No, and it's interesting. I love this conversation because and just give a shout out to Florence because she's on here, and yeah, me and her were just talking about this last night actually, so this is perfect timing. And it's true, like sometimes it's what is like you said, like people need to know that they're not alone, and it's hard, let's be real, the fucking struggle, it's fucking real. And if, like you said, if we can be that light somehow, some way, maybe, just maybe, you know what I'm saying? So I get it. And it's like, and I wanted to repeat something that, actually, I want to read something that Robert Kazi said. He said, they also may connect directly to us and form a bond because we have our life. Yeah, I agree with that.
And I'm so sorry because I wanted to kind of stretch this out because to really encase dialogue, but my girl Queen Liberati's here, and she's the reason about the second thing I want to talk about is because also suicide isn't always necessarily somebody had a bad day or a bad experience. Some people like me, and I know my girl Queen Liberati shared this as well, sometimes it's just something we feel. It's a constant feeling, and it's not connected to anything. It's just part of our chemical construction. I like to akin it to survival instinct, fight, flight, or flee. And you just want to take yourself out of this situation because you want to survive. And in that way, your brain is thinking that's a survival technique. So that's also the other part of it too, is sharing how it's different. And it's not necessarily something to be afraid of or associate it with something dirty or wrong, because it's just something we are dealing with.
Yeah, a lot of like statistics and studies that they do, it's like they find that it's a lot of depression, mental health illness, even you could throw in economic crisis, and like, so it's just like that was the challenge for me. It was like I don't know the root, right? Like we don't know the answer, right? So I was like, I think the best thing to always do is like, what can you bring? Like, what can Angela bring that day, right? Because I think everybody's doing something kind of different and similar in a sense. Like, some people are going to be painting and drawing. Some people are going to be doing like inspirational speeches. Like, I think you never know. Like, sometimes I go on Instagram and I see both of y'all doing like an interview, and I'm just like listening. I'm like, I didn't know I needed this. Do you know what I mean? Like you hear that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that comes up, Andy. I'm pointing down to you. I don't know. Some people's screens it's reversed, but I'm pointing down to Andy because he always brings that back up, because somebody else said that too in one of our interviews. You never know who needs to hear this, even if it has nothing to do with what you're actually saying, but it's clicking in their own head. Something that they needed to hear or needed to feel or needed to like the shower principle, like, oh, I'm listening to this and all of a sudden something else came through. You never know.
No, you couldn't have said it any better, guys. like I said, because I was talking about it with Florence yesterday, and it's just like, you know, because she had a situation. She wrote a piece about it too. And it was just so powerful because it resonated with me in that way, where it was just like, oh my God, like because I too have been through that. I've talked about it before, where you know, 2013 was like my lowest point. I was almost on that verge of doing that, and had it not been for one phone call, had it not been for one
Wow.
text from my friend who's not my wife, you know, and say, hey, what are you doing tonight? And then my brother hit me because my brother had called me to say, "Hey, I'm having a youth service at church a couple of next couple of Fridays. Why don't you come through?" So all it took was that phone call
Mhm.
and that text is all it took for me to reconsider and be like, "All right, let me see what's going on." You know, and then you know later on my life just went from there. And I'm gonna read some of the comments, but it's like I said, sometimes it's like you said, it just that one moment is all you need to just think twice and like, oh shit, maybe there is another brighter side to that, you know. But it's hard, and I want to read something that
Yeah.
Florence said. I think a problem that some people have is that they feel afraid to talk to people about thinking about taking their own life because they're afraid of being shamed or judged or even pitied. That's
Yeah.
so true. That
Yeah.
is so true.
It's the thing about it is like at the end of the day, like we're just people, right? And I think a lot of us, it's really simple if you think about it. It's like we just want to be loved, we just want to be seen, we just want to feel like somebody's listening to us and not hearing us in a sense. And I think when we get to like the core roots of that, a lot of times I hear like um why something leads to depression, like why we feel depressed or why we feel sad, is a lot of times like maybe somebody wasn't thoughtful with their words, right? Maybe they were condescending, maybe they were discriminating towards like our skin color or where you're from. And I feel like a lot of these things just are rooted together. And that's why I love poets like y'all so much, and everybody in the comments, is because we have no choice but to be intentional with our words. We write because we think to write, right? And thinking is almost in the sense of is writing. A great teacher once said, and I love that's why I wanted to do poets, because I know y'all have practiced doing this, and if we as individuals can use our words more for good, because let's be honest, Angela and Andy, like a lot of people use words for bad, and I don't know
Mm.
what the percentage is, right? I don't know how many people told you today something that maybe rubbed you the wrong way, or maybe you're just like, really? Do you know what I mean? And like, and to
Mhm.
me, it's just like, if I have capacity, I'm gonna show up to 10x that energy. And if they want to come with negativity, I just want to come with 50 times the positivity or
Absolutely.
the encouragement, the
I,
hope, because we're, yeah.
I completely agree. And being in education, teacher by trade, even though, you know, I want to be an artist all day, um, you know, statistically, they've done the psychological studies that one negative comment, you need to have at least 7 to
Yeah.
10 positive comments to erase that. So again, we don't know.
Yeah.
Additionally, sometimes the intention of our words is not the intention that's being received, and we
Oh,
can't be upset with the
Mm.
person who for misinterpreting it, because like as a, you know,
Yeah.
again, I have to tell teenagers, you know, I need you to do it like this, or I need you to do that, or
sure.
you didn't actually try. So I mean, like today we had students in the hallway, and there's I'm going to go somewhere with this that connects
Yeah,
back, but some of them are just, and there's 28 different questions that have to do with macromolecules, and they have to go through it. But I have information up if they forgot or they weren't sure. They had resources, and of course, kids start writing things down, like cheating off of each other. And I go, first of all, whoa, whoa, whoa. I said at the beginning of the year, I was never going to give you any work that was going to be wasting your time. You just wasted your time writing just a bunch of words down. You don't know what the hell you just wrote down. This was a
Mm.
waste of your time. I'd rather you not write anything and go through them and talk to me about them, because that you just did nothing. You just wrote a bunch of letters down. And
yeah, yeah.
some of them get it. Some of them go, I did it. I did it. I go, I don't want you working at Amazon, just being a fulfillment center. Think. And again, at times teachers tell them, you're not doing it right. Do it again. And they are trying to maybe be intentional, but it's not taken well for a lot of reasons. Like you
Right.
said, people want to be seen.
Yeah,
Every
yeah.
day, people want to be happy knowing that you're happy to see them. That's what I do every day when I'm at work.
Wow.
I'm happy to see every freaking person that walks past me. It's my,
Beautiful. Yeah.
that's
Wow.
I'm a theatrical person.
Yeah.
That's my theater. But I'll tell you
Do
what,
it.
Chris, I'll
Yeah.
tell you what, Andy. Here,
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to a damn person. I am quiet. I'm mad, and I'm the opposite.
Yeah. No, you know what's crazy? And Robert Kazi said, just imagine if we give the gift of being seen, that one person who feels invisible. And I agree. And I'm gonna take it to a context. And it's so and it's part and I think everything you just said just sums this up. Um, you know, for those who know, I do, you know, I worship, I believe in Jesus and stuff like that. But Proverbs 18:21 says it perfectly. The tongue. Yeah, 18:21 says the tongue can bring death or life. Those who love to talk will reap the consequences.
I love how you clap with it too. I love it. Yes,
No,
yes.
because that right
Yeah.
there, there's consequences to your fucking words, right? Because it's like sometimes it's not always what you say, but it's how you come off, right? Because if you come off aggressively, even though you don't mean to come off aggressively, they're gonna take it like, oh, you're verbally abusing them. That makes that is a big deal. Like you gotta, and sometimes we don't realize we come off that certain way. Like, and I've said this before about my life, where I went through a lot of verbal abuse, but the biggest thing I always stress is the fact that it wasn't intentional verbal abuse, but just that itself. Sometimes when we don't know the difference, it's like, you get what I'm saying? It's crazy to me, and it's just like,
I'll tell you what,
it sucks
Andy
that this is
and
what it
Chris,
is.
I have to tell people this because I've learned this myself. Um, just a couple years ago, the resting bitch face came out as a thing. You know, people have resting bitch voice. The voice is bitchy, but they are not bitchy at all. It just sounds it. It's just the way they sound. So sometimes you have to just kind of laugh and put that on as well. And people want to be accepted, and that's it. Treat me as a human. That's all I want. Don't hurt me.
Yeah.
Don't upset me. I won't upset you. We're at this time again, going back to kind of biology. We are worried about everything. So when we're worried, we're aggressive because we're on defense. We're on defense. And that's what it is too. People are on defense.
Yeah.
I want to go back to suicide for a second because I want to go to really why you are into it. Because Andy's talked about his wife, future wife, really saving him by just a random text. I talked about this I think I've only talked about this one time, and that was during I would think Nick had interviewed me, and just recently, like within this whole, I mean, people know I'm going through some shit. So of course, you feel that weight. But I was driving back from a really amazing kind of experience where, I did an open mic and I talked to some people, and it was really an amazing experience. But at the same time, it wasn't incredible. And it was like, well, what's the next step for you is what I asked them. And they're like, well, if this doesn't pan out, then we're just done. And they were very cavalier about like, well, because again, my life is in shambles because it's not because of poetry, but at the end of the day, it's because of poetry. My life is in shambles. But so I'm driving back from Pennsylvania to Cleveland, and my mind starts panicking like, oh my God, my whole life is going nowhere now. Like it's going to just be for nothing. I did all of this, Andy, for nothing. And I started getting upset. And I've had suicidal ideation and thoughts and feelings, my whole life. But this was different. My brain was physiologically shutting down because of the panic, the fear. Like I couldn't control it. So I'm driving, and I drive a lot, guys. I drive a lot of miles. I drove to Texas and all that. But so I love to drive. But at the same time, like my brain, I couldn't shake that feeling. I could not shake it. And all of a sudden, my vision started to get blurry, and I'm behind the wheel because I'm so emotional, and I always could not control it. My phone actually rang and actually would snap me out of it. If my phone hadn't rung, I could have probably gotten into a very serious car accident and might not be here right now. And again, I could not control what my mind was kind of locking me up because oh my God, I was never going to get out of this. And also it was the second time I had to drive back to a place where I'm basically dealing with some situations that are abusive, and I did not want to have to go back to this place because it was just after I had to go back and move back home for legal reasons. So it was that too on top of it. So suicide, of course, we're affected. People share their stories and we connect with it. Why, again, suicide for you, Chris? What was that moment? Not necessarily like my story, but what was that moment like, this is it? This is the one we need to talk about. This is what we need to do.
Yeah. And thank you both for sharing like your stories, because like I always want to have compassion, because like it's not easy to talk about this in front of people, and also those are real experiences that both of y'all like individually had, and like and for someone else to have the courage to reach out, or shout out to them too as well, because we never know the lives we save by the actions that we do, because they're still living in a sense. So, and I always like to think that, because we'll never know, and that's the beauty, and also like the unawareness of it. But keep doing it, right? That's keep reaching out to these other things. And to answer your question, to me, it's I value life a lot, right? I do, but I also understand that sometimes I feel sad. Sometimes I feel alone. Sometimes I doubt everything within 1 second, and I feel like I question all my actions and everything I've ever done, and that's the reality. That's my humanity. But what I always love is like my mom, there's my friends, poets, in random situations where I needed the most, somebody was always there. So whenever I'm in a good place and I find like grounded and whatnot, I always want to give back to those people that gave me hope, gave me energy to keep going. So to me,
Amen.
it's like it's backwards. It's a little bit backwards for me, because it's like um, it's like I believe in. I love seeing somebody laugh, because you see the life in them, right? And I feel like those things are so contagious and so beautiful to like witness. And sometimes we go through our day, and like, I don't know if y'all ever do this, but like you're walking in the streets, or you're at your job, or you're driving, and you just glance over and you just smile for no reason. And they see that, and sometimes they might be creeped out a little bit about it, but like, most of the times it's like they smile back, or they feel that. And to me, that's the idea behind it, is just that I value life so much, and I do not want somebody else to feel how I've felt before, whether it be so super low, right? And if they do feel that way, I want to be there for them the way someone else was there for me. In that sense, that's the root.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible. Again, just
Wow.
smiling at somebody, because Andy, you remember this. I was just so excited to go meet Divide the Fall that I'm smiling, and these people who just happen to have a table set up were like, "Whoa, somebody's smiling! Wow, that's crazy!" And I got into a conversation. Turned out they were with Doctors Without Borders, and we had just a real amazing
Nice.
experience.
Right.
Still trying to get that scheduled in.
Right. But
I'll still
again, but
reach
this
out
is
to them.
why, but everything you guys are saying, this is why I created this platform in the first place, why I rebranded, why I restarted it again,
Awesome. Yeah.
because we need to have these conversations. Because I always say this, why do only celebrities be the only ones? Why can't we have conversations? Why can't we tell our stories? This is why I'm so passionate about what I've been doing this year alone, and to host my first open mic as well. I mean, because we don't know, again, like, there's people who really need to hear what we're talking about, and their voices need to be heard. Let's be honest, we are all the voice of the voiceless, and that's important, to give somebody else a voice so they can use their voice and be a voice of the voice of somebody else, and on and on, and for, well, I'm not even saying the word right, but you know what I mean. Um, it's just, again, like, and it leads up to this question now that I have for you, Chris. What was it the day that you decided, you know what, I want to do this project? What inspired you to want to just do it? Was it just because, you know what, I want to do it just because, or was it just something you were reading one day and it just sparked an idea? Like, how did that all?
Andy, that's the question I've been trying to ask. You just did it perfectly. Of course, my co-partner asked it exactly what I was trying
You're
to
the
get
yin
at.
to
Yeah.
my yang, I
Where
guess.
did the light bulb actually go off on? When was it like, ding, we got to do this? That's Andy. You're the best, Andy.
Great question. Thank you for asking, Andy. 3 years ago, I started a nonprofit with my family and friends, and we gave back to like the community for a whole year, and just helped like beach cleanups, helped the youth. We did open mics and all these things, right? And I always wanted to focus on the common theme. What I find is pain and suffering, with a lot of people who feel alone, or maybe have suicidal ideation. or you know when you get that real conversation at like 12 a.m., 1 a.m. where you're with that one person, and then you're like, oh, I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
and the reality of it, and I think somebody mentioned this too as well earlier, is it's like it's hard to talk about it until you're in that, like, almost you have to be in that perfect spot, right?
Yes.
And with that specific person. And I always look up the whys. I think you mentioned, so you're like you shared the why, Chris, but like the details of it. And I'm always focused on that in my head. Because I always feel like you lead with your heart. You're gonna be fine no matter what,
The
in a sense.
why
But
is the most
the why,
important. And
yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
the why
of course,
is the most important.
for sure.
I'm
And,
so
and
happy that that's the focus.
yes, and so I like to do something and then have that inner drive that like is beyond yourself, like not just like, okay, you know, I want to do good and whatnot. I want to see something that will just like keep me going. I've always wanted to help this I want to say this heartbreaking cause, because it's like, you know, at the root of like, you're both here, and everybody in the comments are here right now because of your life. Like your life is here, you're showing up, your attention, your senses, like all these things. And to me, like it's scary, you know, talking about death or suicide. And if you can help somebody with your words. And I came across, to answer Andy's question after that explanation, is that I looked up stats on like certain causes, and I've always helped with like St. Jude's Kids with Cancer. I'm a big proponent of that, and I looked up the statistics on suicide. I was just like curious about it, and I came across this, and every 11 minutes, like, can you imagine just reading that for the first time? Like, oh, every 11 minutes, like, what can you do in 11 minutes? Well, you could probably drive to the store. You could probably get some coffee, right? You could do so many different things in 11 minutes. And when I found out that they made it so real, 11 minutes, one person commits suicide, dies of suicide. I was just like, oh, no, I cannot have this. I cannot keep living and not do something about this. And I was just like, okay, cool. That's the energy that I was looking for. That was like, oh, I didn't know that was within me. And I still to this day don't know why, Angela. Like, even like I seeing you like nod your head, is that like
There's so many things you just connected to for me, like
Yeah.
this entire because, and I don't want to cut you off. So finish
That's
the point, because but I'm always afraid that I'm going to forget it. But like,
but 11
we're
11. That's
hurting.
crazy.
We're
11
hurting as
minutes.
humanity. Humanity's hurting. We've been hurting for a long time, and
But especially in this life today,
well,
there's too
yeah.
much
But so I want to
bullshit,
say, well, hold on. There's
which
the
is
point I'm trying to
crazy.
make is when we think about the 1950s historically, when we in the the Euro traditional view of history, we think about loving their neighbor. Everybody was, you knew who everybody was. That is not what's bad. What was bad is the reality of what history was, where people weren't treating everybody like that, and people are, because again, I'm always thinking about survival. I either want to take and protect, or I want to take and dominate. But it's so simple to just be friends with everybody. But because of the hurt and the denial, people are afraid to go back. Once you rip that paper, we're never going to be able to get on an airplane again without really feeling horrible. When we used to be like that, one person ruins it, two people ruin it. We can't trust everybody. So when you said that universal theme was pain and suffering, it's because it is. This is an opportunity for us to showcase that, because that's really what will connect us. We have to get past these horrible conversations and allow people to believe what's really happening and allow people to heal. And this is what I think you're really doing. I'm just so honored to have you on tonight. And this Project 1111, even though there wasn't a moment, you've been doing the work the entire time. Because the other part that you did for me is that I always say this too: if you're feeling bad, do good. Because if you do something good for somebody else, it will make you feel better. And that's what you've been doing. You're getting these, filling the bucket was the big book about, like, when you do something good for somebody else, you're filling their bucket. When you do something horrible, you're taking it out. But again, we can't heal because we're hurt, and hurt people we have not been able to process. But I think allowing us to connect, we're really having that opportunity to decide, what do we really want? We can define what our lives are if we can collectively do this and accept people for who they are and for what
Yeah.
they want to do, you know?
Yeah.
But
Well
it's
said.
so much more
Yeah.
than that. So again,
I just want to,
you're doing so
yeah.
much with this.
Yeah,
Mm.
I just wanted to read this one paragraph. As you're talking, I'm just looking up stuff about 1111. This is interesting. It says in numerology, the number 11 is considered a master
Mm.
number, representing our intuition, amplification of our dreams, and the presence of spiritual guidance. When the number 11 is repeated in the form of 1111, 11/11, or 111111, it is thought to make each of these qualities even more powerful and signal to you that a powerful transformation is headed your way.
Mm. Nice, Andy. That was
Well,
clutch. And
you know
I
me,
did.
answer is math, Andy. It's numerical.
Oh,
Yeah, I love
God.
it.
I gotta
I
make a
love math.
shirt for you. The answer is math. I'm working on
And to
it.
and you literally set up the I put on the flyer like I wanted to disclose what I chose 1111, not because like only you can make a wish or because it's clean too as well, but the root of it was because when you look at it, it's 11 and 11. The first 11 I saw was the like Angela pointed out, we have to be aware, right? We have to be aware what the 11 first stands for is 11 minutes that one person dies by suicide, and the other 11 is the 11 minutes that you, Andy, take or we can take to rebalance, like re-give somebody the opportunity, give life to maybe that we won't see the other side, you know, that maybe that person won't see the other side. So it's just like a rebalancing thing where it's like if we constantly see that, if we only focus on the 11, then I need to see the other side. And you know, in math, if it's equal on both sides, you feel happy, right? You feel
Zero
good.
is the
Zero.
equalizer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My God is inside of that zero because balance,
Mm-hmm.
homeostasis, that's what it's all about. And God is things we cannot control, but we know
Yeah.
exist because scientifically I mean, come on, people, science is what makes magic real. And my co-teacher hates when I say that because she actually has a biology degree. When I say things like that, she's like, don't
Oh
do that.
my
You're telling them
God.
that. But this is what I just want to highlight too as well. This is not just your traditional, I'm going to talk about suicide for 11 minutes. Just being on is the awareness. So the 11 minutes you can really take to do whatever it is that you want to really do. That's what I'm hearing from you. So this vibrational, electricity through the, IG pipeline here is really going to hopefully be an awareness and also the other side of it, the
I hope so.
connecting.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. So
yeah.
are you going to kick it off at 12:01 or or we don't know
Well,
when you're going to be joining us at 11:11?
I didn't even, thank you for suggesting that. I didn't even think about 12:01. That's actually like genius because it's the day in the
Oh my
I'm in the
God,
East
dang
Coast.
it, I should have taken it.
No.
No, you do
I think
it.
by tradition, by tradition, I'll do the 11 a.m. and then I'll go till 11:11 a.m. just to be like the.
You
And I
got
always I do.
I mean, come on, Andy. He has to do it on 11:11. So okay,
Yeah.
12:01 is open. I
Yeah.
think
No,
Angela's down
1201
for
is
the
the pre-show
12:01.
before the show, and then 1111 is the
Andy
actual
knows.
show.
Yeah, on the
Yes,
pre-show. But oh my gosh, that's such a great. But I do have to ask this because we are international. That's one of the other things I like to say, Andy. We are international
Yes, we are.
because we have a lot of people from out of the
Yeah,
states here.
we have Just
Are
Star
we?
who's in
When is the
UK. We
time
have
zone?
SK
When is the
Mustafa.
official time zone?
yeah.
When is the official time
Oh,
zone? What are we
wait, I
going
got
by?
speaking of time zone, it's so funny because when me and SK Mustafa was setting up the when we set up the meeting, like to do that interview that we did with her, it was so funny, right? Because she says in certain seasons I think is BMT or something like that, but then in certain times it's GMT. But when I put 4 o'clock my time, 4 o'clock her time, or whatever it was, it kept saying the wrong time zone. So I just thought it was kind of funny.
Yes.
And she just so happens to ask, how's it going to work with the time zones? But it's
Yeah.
so fun. The conversation was just kind of funny. I'm like, oh my God, these time zones are confusing.
For sure. To answer your question, thank you, Angela. I always believe the simplest route is the answer, and so the idea behind that is everybody's own time zone is there that day. I can't take away SK's day. Like her 24 hours is always gonna be 24 hours. So her day.
You just know I'm a scientist and I want to know, I want to really have it on 11/11. And when's the 24-hour? But it can go actually a little bit before and a little after, because guess what? You're right. It doesn't have to be exact. I just, you know,
and I like
I'm
to
a
think
messy
that
son of a gun, but I gotta run and organize people. You know what I mean? That's who I want.
She just went Ric Flair with that one. Woo! Son of a gun. She just went Ric Flair right now.
Now, I do
Oh
have
my
to
God.
ask this, because this was a question that was given to me by Benita Poetry. I will claim her, because this is an incredible question. I wish I thought of it myself. Because of the 11 minutes, we're down to do whatever it is that either brings us joy, or if you want to honor somebody, you can do whatever poetry reading. You said there's going to be other artists involved, whether painting or drawing or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, hey, you can make a pot of noodles in 11 minutes while you're on, right? Because the point of being on is the awareness, but also the connection here. But what do you do, or what are things that comfort you when, again, like you're having that moment, you feel like nothing is going to ever get better,
yes,
and you're feeling that suffocation? Other than poetry, this whole avenue, what do you go and reach out to when you're feeling like I need something to like bring me light back?
That's a brilliant question, Angela.
No.
With this a lot.
Benita Poetry was gay. I just want to, that was credits of Benita Poetry.
Sure, yeah. Great question.
Yes.
I think, isn't that what we all want to know? You know what I mean? But what I do personally, and I'm sure Andy, you have your own like variations. Angela, I'm sure we all kind of have our own like little things we turn to. More recently, it's just been, this is awkward, but if I feel down or I start doubting myself, you know when it happens, right? It just happens randomly. And we spoke about this earlier. Like I'll just be working. I'm like, why do I feel like I'm a failure right now? Like for just no reason, right? And it's just out of the blue. And then I'm like, okay, what I've learned to do, I've been practicing the past week, and it's worked really well, is that I like get up and I just look around, and like feels weird at first. And I just look at the sky or look at random things, and out loud I say, I'm so grateful for the sky right now. I'm so grateful I have this home right now. And it sounds so awkward and so like ick almost. And it's just like, oh, what am I doing? But I get to the 5th one and I'm like, I feel better. And then I get to the 8th one, I feel better. And it's so, I'm annoyed because I'm like, why did I know this before? But by the time I hit like 12, I cannot think about what's on my mind or the doubt. And I overpower the doubt, and the gratitude is just like, in order for you to be grateful, you have to focus. Like you cannot be like pretend to say like, oh, I'm grateful for that cup, or I'm grateful for Angela. If you say I'm grateful for Angela and I'm grateful for Andy today because y'all host this space for me, like you have no choice but to think of Angela and Andy, and you have to shift from that doubt. You have to shift from wherever you're in. So to me, it's just like the utilize it, because sometimes the mind really does mess with us, right? And for many physiologically, any type of way. But if we can utilize the mind on the other side for good for ourselves, why not, right? And that's how I feel.
Amen. And there was a question in here. That's a good question. SK Mustafa says, I have a question. I may have missed this. Is there going to be an order of the 11 or 111 poets, or does everyone go live when they want? Yeah, because I am a little confused. I know you gave us like there's like a number, like you're 51, I'm 71, and stuff like that. Is it by order of number or?
I just wanted to know that. I don't think that has anything to do with
it. No, I'm saying, but like my question is, when you start the live, right? Like, is one of those we would have to keep constantly checking out the live to see when our number is up? Like, how to explain that, Chris? Because that's a very good question.
All 100 of us, because we can go on at the same time.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, and
which is fine. I think because you're going all like, I don't care what time zone. I think you're going all, let it be what it is. That's my guess, and I put that on the chat.
We have to break the internet and make change.
On? Yeah, how can we break the internet? Do we all go on it consistently, like a marathon, or again, whenever the hell fuck we want to do it?
Oh.
I love those
Oh my
details.
God.
So answer the question.
I just like do it. Like,
Very, very simply, uh, it's no order whatsoever, and it's just whatever. This is going to happen because I've planned events before with a lot of people, and as I'm sure both of you know, or hosting open mics, anything, it's like whenever that it's convenient for that one person, they just go. And the idea behind that is like, obviously it's not just gonna be my 24 hours, it's gonna be like SK's 24 hours, it's gonna be Shamik's 24 hours in India, it's gonna be Purva's in New Zealand, right? Wherever you're at, right? So the idea behind is like, at some point, at each one of those points, like you'll hopefully, I hope that it just goes naturally. Sometimes when you let go of things, they flow so much better instead of when you try to force it. If that makes sense, I feel
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Because as a person who's a complete chaotic mess, I live for that. I that's how I choose to live my life.
Sure.
However, the teacher side of me, it's like you actually have to plan all the stuff to make it look like you didn't plan anything at all. You know what I mean? You actually have to do a lot of prep work. And I try to teach the students with that, with you got to practice your presentation before you present, because who's going to start?
Yeah.
Who's going to, how are you connecting from one to one? How are you going to end this? Because you actually have to plan that. Have the papers where they need to be ahead of time, and then you don't have to waste that time going, here's, except that's not who I am. That's who I know I should be.
That's a great suggestion. Thank you, Angela.
No, okay. No. Bonita Poetry. Yeah, no, Bonita Poetry says, Angela, why not some of us do that if they're willing? Like a small tag team. Yeah, I could start a small group chat since we're in different time zones. That's what she was saying. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
And there's 11 people in the room, which is pretty interesting too. But yeah, just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, true. But as Chris has definitely dictated, you don't have to join the tag team. It's if you want to join the tag team. Just want to keep that willy-nilly thing out there. But I love that. I love it. I would think a tag team would be amazing.
There's one person that didn't feel comfortable going, and maybe other people feel this way too, didn't feel comfortable going alone. So she had her friend, like, they're like, oh, can we do it together? I'm like, of course you can do it together. Like, again, the root of this is the just to show up. And I think
just be there.
When I've hosted so many different things like this. Whenever you make it so easy, almost like a click of a button for somebody to do anything, we all will like literally do it. So and then of course, like, I think this is by the way, I didn't even mention this, but this is going to be a forever project. This is not like a one time a year. I hope it is. This is going to be for the rest of my life. So
oh my gosh,
a lot of this
exclusive, like exclusive, Andy.
Yeah. We heard it here first.
A lot of the suggestions that Angela's making, or you, Andy, are making, I'm literally, I'm that type of person that I'll just listen, and then we can improve, right? So a lot of times we're like, oh no, this is the last event I'll ever do. No, I'm literally like, I'm thinking 10 years from now, I'm like, of course we'll have it organized. Of course, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh.
So yeah, that's my problem. I like to see what it would be like after we did all the work. I see the end product, but I don't know how to get there. I'm like, yeah, we should.
Something, I just had a vision.
We all have it. We'll make a Google Doc, and everybody just put their name at the time, and we'll have it.
I just had a vision.
By time zones.
Yeah, I like that.
I just had a vision. I see this for the future.
Yes.
Like, you know how we're doing our open mic on the 10/20th? I see us going to a place, like a place where we all come together in an actual place in person, doing this project in person. Like a Central Park or something, and then anybody can come in for free, and they'll see what we're doing. Like, oh, what's that? They'll be like, oh, what's that? And then there's like this whole thing of change. I don't know why I see this for you, brother. Like years from now, I just caught the only vision right now, bro. It's crazy.
Keep it up. Keep sharing that.
I want to honor Denise L. Washington. She's trying to do that, establish that people come through. When
with Haiti 24.
Yeah. And so again, I love this, Andy. Again, we're built. The bridges can build beyond us because people are people, and we all feel.
There's too much hate. There's too much negativity in this world. We can make the change. I really believe that in my heart, and I think like what you and I are doing, Angela, on our open mic is the beginning. And I see, Chris, I really see that for you in the future. I really see you doing this in person and people from different parts of the world. Okay, this is where we meet and it starts to, I really feel that. Like, I don't know why, but I feel it. It's like like in church terms, they call it like a revival of some sort. And I think this is what it is, like some kind of revival where something magical is going to happen. And I feel like this is something that this world has needed for long time. Because if you look back in history, like I always bring up the Beat Generation because that's just a perfect example of that. Because they used to do a lot of rallies, and Allen Ginsberg wrote a lot of stories and pieces about the rallies. It wasn't about just what was going on. He was trying to study as to why they were doing that, why they were standing for what they believed in, and why they felt like this was the needed change, and why we needed to get away from the modern civilization at that time where it's the silent, like, there's no such topic as that. Rather, there was the beginning of what we had to, because think about it, they paved the way for us to have these conversations. We're back in the 50s and the 60s. That wasn't even a thing that was thought about, right? Because my parents were born in the 50s, right? They came from a time where there was no such thing as a topic, right? Where I grew up at a time where awareness was becoming a thing, but in Hispanic culture, we weren't allowed to talk about that. Like, it's, like, no offense to what I'm about to say, but my father used to say, "Oh, that's white people shit." That's what my dad used to say. I'm like, no, that's real people shit. It's just, we weren't allowed to talk about that. Our emotions were not allowed. So it's just over time, when the millennials got a little bit older, we paved the way for the newer generation to be, I mean, do I say it's a gift and a curse at the same time because I feel like they took advantage of that? Yeah, but it's just what it is. All we can do is utilize what we have now and use it for the good.
Yes. Well said. Well said. Love it.
I'm sorry, Angela. I had to get this out.
No.
I have so many things.
Andy, I'm not jumping down because I want that moment to sit, because it was very well thought. I wanted that moment to sit. And again, you kind of re-echoed what I said earlier too, is that when we think of the traditional stereotypical 1950s, like, where love your neighbor, everything was good, that's not what's wrong. And also, like, too, with people who don't necessarily agree with religion, like, everybody knows Andy's very proud of his religion, and I'm happy that he's proud of his religion. I'm not, I said the answer is math and God's inside of zero. You know what I mean? But because what I believe, though, too, is that religion has a good place. It is in itself, whatever it is to that person, it's teaching community. It's teaching those things that would help humanity if we are kinder to each other. If we do our own work,
religion is scary, though, at the same time.
Because people do bad things, and we've let people do bad things get away with it for too long. And we can't just, and again, it's not necessarily, it's an apathy thing, but we're also living everyday fucking lives. In order to change the world, we can change the world. We can change it with ourselves. And I think with doing these kind of things, connecting, having all voices be shared, all voices be heard, because all voices, as you hear, there is a common thread, and that's pain and suffering. But we don't have to suffer anymore. We can hear about the pain and suffering of now and the past and protect each other from allowing these pains to continue. That's how I feel.
Yeah, you know what about, like, what I love about what we're doing and this particular live is we have different generations present in this live right now, and that's what makes it even more powerful.
What are you trying to say, Andy?
Because I'm saying, because, oh my God, no, but that's good because
I think I'm
it just comes.
Technically a Gen Xer / I think I'm on the borderline.
Because I'm born 1985, so I'm considered millennial, 82. I guess. 82, okay. So you're right, you're older than I am, right? Because my wife is 1970. Because my wife's 45. I'm 38, my wife's 45. She's 1978. But the fact that what makes me and my wife great is that because she's a little bit older than me and she's experienced life a little bit different than I have, but we could put all of our experiences together and communicate. And that's what makes me and my wife amazing, because every day we're always talking about things like, babe, how can we be better for our child? How can we show him, hey, your generation, my generation, and then because think about it, the generation that's there now, they're gonna be the authority figures for my son's life when he gets older. And it's like it's kind of scary. You know what I'm saying? That's why we need to do what we're doing now. Yeah, and it's like, yeah, what Robert said, 1963, but like I said, there's a different generation present right now, and that's important. The fact that we need people like Robert Kazi, we need people like you and me, and SK Mustafa, and Chris, and dope female trainer because she's here, you know. Like we need these different types of generation, because if everything was just one generational, then everything else is like, okay, then that's just one generational, right? But we have multiple generations of people, different great minds here, and that's important to show, like, hey, look, yeah, I'm a little bit older, but I understand where you're coming from because I've been through it, and life experiences and sharing those life experiences to help the generation younger than us or older than us or whatever, because we can help from each other. We learn from each other. Because I always believe just because you're younger than me doesn't mean you don't understand life. I mean, you're not, yeah, are we going to understand life the same way? No, but you have your own understanding of life. Everybody has and understands their own pain. If we share it, you know, if we share it and experience it together, then the maturity, the understanding will be so grand that it becomes very powerful. Because one thing I've always said in life, that I like, especially my parents' generation, one of the issues I have with them, especially in Hispanic culture, they don't know how to give back. That was always the thing. And the fact that, and I want to read something, bridging the generation gaps and coming together. That's exactly what it is.
But not just the generation gaps, Andy. What we've been able to do is we are really trying to highlight as many different variations of voices. We go out of the country, all different voices. And that's the thing too, is that people are like, who have not been exposed to that, go like, I can't believe we're all in the same place and it's a great time. And you know, I'm like, of course we're going to have a great time. You know, this is a great place to be because your voice is important and valuable. And I think you're doing that as well.
Right. Because listen, I'm 38 and I'm still learning. Like I'm still learning. I'm a new parent, but I'm still learning about myself. You know, like I've learned so much more about myself as being a parent and being a married man than I've ever learned in my entire life. And then my father passing away already 5 years already, I've learned more about his life now and learned about myself through his life, through my son, through my marriage, to the point that there's things about myself that I didn't even know that even existed. I was like, oh, okay, then I got to work on that. See, and I think reflection is important because what a lot of people don't do, especially parents and married couples, they don't reflect as much as they should, because when you reflect, you mature, and when you mature, you could express, you can share that, you could give that experience to somebody else that's even younger than you, that, okay, hey, you're a brand new couple, this is what I went through. I'm not saying that everything worked for me is going to work for you, but hey, this is something I can share with you. And that's very important. And there was a question.
Andy, wait. I want to add another word to that. Not
okay.
Andy.
Okay.
Not just reflection, but projection. A lot of people are putting a lot of ideas about what they think other people are doing or other people are. And again, they're projecting what they think based on what they're feeling. So again, reflection, and let's see, am I projecting my own negativity and having it encapsulate into somebody else, and it's a misunderstanding. But again, I think we have to open our hearts and open our minds. And if you are just joining
remember,
us, just because, Project 1111. I know, Andy, I'm going to have you take the comments in a second, but I'm just saying, we're talking about Project 1111. If you want to sign up, we're almost at the 111, but we got to get to 111. You just DM this amazing poet out at Alchemist Poetry, and Andy's going to go through the comments. But Andy, I wanted to mention too that we've already gotten through a whole hour. And we are going to have to wrap up our interview very shortly because we have to prep for another one. But
I know, but
I want you to close
20 more minutes.
I want you to close.
All right, 20 more minutes and then I'll close it. All right, 20 more minutes because this is important. I want to read the comments.
Read the comments.
Okay.
We have a totally different vibe, by the way. We're dealing with comedians.
Okay, wait. Oh, yeah. Like we talk about this now. We have comedians at 9. Yes. Each generation provides a different chapter of life. That's I agree. Art by Drew. I
Drew,
think I'm pronouncing it right. I'm sorry. It
Drew,
says,
yeah,
can
Drew
you
Ellis.
ask can you ask Chris to explain how this project gives us all an opportunity to be servant leaders? Because each age group has a different way of dealing with it. Exactly, but the fact is, it doesn't mean we can't learn from each other. Because when I was growing up, there was always this idea, oh, well, I'm older than you, and you're never gonna understand like how I understand it, and that was it. And I think that's a incorrect way of thinking. I feel like because I know people younger than me that has taught me things, and I'm just like, oh, I never saw it like that before. It's just for us to have an open mind to understand this other. There's always another perspective of things. Do I have to agree with everything? No, but the fact that I'm knowledgeable of the fact that it exists. Because when you shut yourself out like that, you don't learn nothing, and you become stubborn.
I'm sorry.
And
Absolutely, Andy. Oh, okay, never mind.
no, my bad. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to read
No,
everything.
because Andy, you're
Wait.
absolutely right. Go ahead, Andy.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. And yeah, no, this is not an open mic. This is just a interview with Chris that he about a project that he's doing.
Project
So
11,
yeah, so answer that
11, sign
question.
up. Well,
Yeah,
Andy,
so
I'm gonna.
explain that question.
Okay, go.
The servant
Let me
It
know when
leadership
you're
says,
done.
one, Andy. Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah,
explain
I'll be
that
happy to.
because that's a good
Oh,
question.
Yeah.
oh, I thought it was making the connection because that was like absolutely you are driving this service or civic service to everybody. I thought
Yeah.
that was a really good thesis. But yeah, explain that, I guess.
Drew is a good soul in here. I met him literally like 2 days ago yesterday, and he has the same goal as mine too as well. As it pertains to being a servant leader in community and literally serving specifically the needs of others, like in and as you mentioned a couple of times, Angela, the ones in pain, the ones who are in who need help. They don't have the resources or the capacity. And I think whenever we shift our focus to that, like you said, like whenever we give, we feel better, right? Like you said that. And I think with
Shifting the
Project
mindset.
1111, and so Project 1111 for me, on the other side of it, I believe that a lot of people dog poetry. Like they think it's just words on
Andy,
paper
do you know
or
anybody that is against poetry that really dogs poetry?
Oh my God, I know this one guy whose name I won't mention. He says poetry doesn't pay the bills.
yeah, yeah.
It's not supposed to pay the bills. It's supposed to ignite
Mhm.
change and perspective
No, it's just
and
funny.
give.
It's just funny. It's a kind of an
Yeah,
inside
no,
joke, guys,
yeah.
but it's
He
hilarious.
has
So
yeah,
keep going.
yeah.
Yeah,
He
people
says
are
yeah,
dogging on
poetry doesn't pay.
poetry.
And
Yeah,
a lot of there's a silent feeling about that, and I always believe that behind poetry it's like a great tool to amplify great causes, like we've seen throughout history. Like great poets become great writers, become great speakers, become great movement makers. And I believe that there's something, especially online, sometimes we don't feel as if our words matter as poets, or maybe we can't do too much, and maybe all I'm capable of is just maybe posting once, right, or sharing a story, or even going on an open mic. But I believe that there's more to that. And I think when we experience that change making, I don't know, the first time y'all ever volunteered, or the first time you made somebody who's crying feel happy with your words, like, or even just being there for them in your presence, I think that's poetry too. I think when we see that and when
ooh,
we feel that, that's the idea behind it, is that if the poets, as us as poets, get to feel like maybe, oh my God, you got that DM a week later from November 11th, and they're like, hey, Andy, I just want to let you know that live you did on November 11th, I needed it. And then all of a sudden you're
yeah,
like, well, I do matter. My words matter. And then where does that take
yeah,
Andy? I have no idea, but I believe it's somewhere higher than where he is.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
But listen, but this is how I met Angela. Believe it or not. You know how sometimes you follow people and you don't remember following people, like, or it just happens to happen
True,
that
true.
way. Because this particular Instagram page has been through a lot. But anyway, I just randomly saw her post at midnight at New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, and it was talking about no more shitty years. Actually, no, I feel like I have to look for that post because this is important. What you're saying aligns with this, and I have to because if I don't talk about it now, it's gonna bother the shit out of me.
Andy,
So give
while
me
you're
one
looking that
second.
up, can I say one
Yeah.
thing? Well, just find it because I gotta say this. Because I'm dealing with a situation at work where a person is really trying very hard to kind of advocate for a student, but in the way that they're doing it, it's actually causing this to not change the student's schedule. And it's like, at the end of the day, sometimes it doesn't matter if you're right when it comes to things. You have to kind of work in a way that you got to change it so you really are benefiting the other students instead of being a pissing contest. Well, this should be for this, and this should be for that. When we do have the same goal, like, again, education boggles my mind, because when you have administration, teachers, parents, students, at the end of the day, we all want the same thing: for that student to graduate, for them to have a successful educational experience. But yet we all can't get it together. And I'm talking about the people who actually work in the system. Did you find it, Andy?
Oh, okay. Yes, I did. So this is the post I'm referring to. This is important. There's a reason why. There's a reason for this, because this is what made Unraveled Influence the beginning of what we are here today. So, and the fact that everything you guys are saying aligns with what I'm about to read. It says, I absolutely cannot take another truly terrible, soul-crushing year. For me right now, this is my commitment to find what to focus on and grind it out full force right now as we break into 2023. Here is to finally figure it all out, to perhaps putting something professionally together. Besides, this might be my last chance to do something with myself. I can't take another stagnant, suffocating year, figuring it all out creatively in my first, because this must be it. Next step, any ideas? I'm taking a shot no matter what. No more fucked up or shitty years. I hope everyone feels the same. Now, here's the crazy thing. I saw that, and I'm still messing around with rebranding my platform to Unraveled Influence. And, you know, I used to have another guy on there. He's not there anymore, unfortunately. You know, things happen. And long story short, I finally rebranded. I had my first episode with her just as a guest. And I kept hearing God say, reach out to her, reach out to her. I'm like, she's going to think I'm a creep, but okay, whatever. So I reach out to her. We do this episode. And then this episode just sparked something in me. And it was something about that episode that made me feel like, I think she'll be a great asset to this. I'm like, Lord, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what she's going to say. I don't know, but you know, you tell me. Your word says to trust you. You say to trust what you say and to walk by faith, not by sight. Like, okay, here, I'm going to give this to you. I don't know what the hell's going to happen. So we have this conversation. I say, hey, would you like to do this thing with me? She said, you know what? Yeah, why not? And from there, here we are. It pretty much almost 10 months later to the day that this all thing happened. And here we are. And we have, this platform is growing. And that's because it's not just you and me, it's all of us, right? Because you guys are, you guys are trusting us with your stories. Because that was my biggest thing. There's platforms that exist, but how can I be different? How can we be different from all the other platforms? Let's do interviews. Nobody else is doing it. Let's have the conversation. I have the podcast. I could upload it on the podcast platform as well, so it could expand beyond whatever. Because, you know, when you look at podcasts, there's all these things that it's a suggested and all that stuff. So I say, you know what? I'm going to just do it and see what happens. And that alone, it speaks in volumes, because had it not been for her, I would not be, I don't know if this platform would be where it's at today. And now here we are, in next month, we're going to have our first in-person open mic.
If it
and this
be for you, I wouldn't be here. And I got to say it like this, because I think you're going to like, because I'm going to talk in your language. You bring up that post a lot, but you're right. You never really go through the whole post, but I really put out the call and you answered. Like, you answered that call. So thank you, Andy. I wouldn't be here without you. We wouldn't be here today without each other. And I think that's important. And Andy, I hear your voice, what he always says, which is true. And I think you would agree, Chris, with what you're doing with Project 11. This is an honor and a privilege to give everybody an opportunity to share whatever it is that they need to share. And I like that you said poetry don't get any respect, because we don't, because poetry and comedy, which is coming up pretty soon, Andy, I got to get ready for it. But what I'm saying with that, is they do the same thing we do. They use humor to disarm us, to make whatever that statement is, to showcase whatever that tragedy that we're laughing about is. How are they getting the crowds? They have that infrastructure, you know what I mean? We do the same things. Why are people not wanting to connect with us? So I think, you know, I think you kind of, again, I think we got to connect here. I think we got it. I think we have it.
But I'm happy, right, but I'm happy that I was obedient to that voice, because one of the biggest aspects of that, and I think this applies to you, Chris, and this applies to you, Angela, is that obedience was the biggest key here, right? Because that voice in your head, that thought in your mind told you, hey, I want to do this project. Because you could have been like, damn, I'm not sure. But the fact that you were obedient to the calling of what this project could do and how it could leave a lasting impact and create a bigger impact than we could ever imagine. Like right now, yeah, it's alive, but you don't know. What if this become, and I really believe that this is going to become bigger than outside of Instagram. And again, this is one of those things, like, you answered the call and you were obedient to the call. So my brother,
I the word obedient. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I don't like your word of obedient, but I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
I'm not here to argue that word.
Because
I agree with what you're saying.
because
dedication.
Sometimes, I'm saying, but you were obedient to the call to dedicate yourself to do that, and that's important, because sometimes we're not obedient to the things that, and I say God, you call it the universe. Sometimes the universe is calling us to do something. Because I know for a fact I am called to do what I'm doing right now, and we were called to do that. And it's if something's telling you, you better listen to that voice, because when you walk in obedience and you walk by faith in that regard, then I feel, okay, you call it the universe, I call it God. God shows you what it is.
Absolutely.
He's going to reveal to you little by little. And I feel like that's what you're doing, Chris, because at the end of the day, you listened, and here we are having this conversation, and the impact it is leaving right now. So, brother, be encouraged by that. I hope this is not the only time. I hope you do this often and often and often, bro, because voices need to be heard. Stories need to be told, and that's important. We need to break this glass ceiling already, and you're doing that. So my hands off to you, bro. So much respect for you for that.
Thank you, Andy. Yeah, of course. I believe in the idea of the compound effect, where it's just like small, simple steps. Yes, Angela. So small, simple step, and I try not to overcomplicate the beginning, because I tend to an analysis paralysis, like this idea of like, and I won't even start sometimes. So I was just like, you know what, start, and then what ends up happening is like it'll compound after 10 years from now, 20 years from now. I get to talk to both of you, and hopefully, you know, we're making a worldwide impact where we help people realize how valuable and worthy and needed they are every single day.
Right. I just want to ask you a question, because I do understand that Robert Kazi is also part of this project with you. Can you talk to me about that?
Yeah. Robert's I don't know what number Robert is. Oh, number 4. Robert's number 4. But Robert has played he's just such a giver, a natural giver.
Yes.
His inner child aligns with my inner child heavily. And I always go back and forth. Robert's just he's just a good man. And he connected me with a lot of people that I didn't even know that was in this gigantic poetry community. And like reconnected, like you and Andy, you and I, and like other people that I've never met. And I'm just so grateful for that, because I think, you know, the saying like real recognizes real, I think is just always so important. And when you have a good cause, people are like, I've always rushed to it, like any way I could like help in, like especially like in real life, like charity events or anything like that. I just love those things, because like it or not, like I just feel bad. I feel good. Like Angela, you mentioned earlier, like when I give, I just feel good. Like you just like I can't feel bad, you know, when I give to like an event, or if we do anything. Like for this whole month, there's been a lot of lives specifically for suicide awareness and prevention, and I just feel good about it. So yeah, Robert has just been really like the one that's connected me with a lot of people outside of who I know, and I'm just very grateful for that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Robert's the one who crashed my DM, but with the like, hey, sign up. I also a couple other people did as well, but I actually saw it before I got the DM crash. But I'm so excited. I'm number 51. Robert, of course, is going to be single
I'm
digit.
77,
That's
and
a good number.
77 has a significance.
Please.
Yeah,
Cool.
77, man. Yeah, there's like
Well,
a
I'm going to say this
whole
too.
story behind number 7, but yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to say this too. Oh my gosh. Hey, Matt DeMar from Divide the Fall just logged in. I was just kind of surprised by that. Hey, because we're talking about Project 1111. And if you haven't done so already, sign up. How can you sign up? You got to DM Alchemist Poetry, this person right here. We got to get to 111 people, whether you're an artist, a poet, or creator, whatever it is. All you have to do is for 11 minutes, anytime you fucking want, on November 11th, wherever it is in the world for you, whenever you want. And you just got to be on live for 11 minutes doing whatever the fuck you want to do, whether you want to showcase some talent or you want to talk about somebody who committed suicide and that's somebody you want to honor. Because being on is the awareness factor.
Yes.
And we learned that today by talking to our amazing guests. So I hate to do this, but I'm going to do this, Andy. I hope we get to 111 by the end of tomorrow because we got to get to 111.
That'd be great.
We have them on our show. We sold
so.
out that one
In
album.
Jesus' name, I put it out there.
111. So
I
know
put
we're
it
getting close to
there
that.
in Jesus'
People already
name.
said they wanted to sign up, but it's not official till my friend down there writes it down on that pad of paper. That's when I want to know because I want to know when the numbers are rolling through.
Okay.
So Andy, go ahead.
Because yeah, we are towards the end. So here's my last question,
Thank you,
and I
guys.
always ask this to
both.
everybody.
Yeah.
Yes. After we die, we're long gone. When people hear your name, what is the one impact or the one lasting thing that you want people to remember you by? That when they hear your name, what do you want that to be?
That I tried, you know.
Wow.
That's it. That I tried.
Wow. I mean, as simple as that sounds, that's very powerful, though.
Yeah.
But you didn't try. You just did it.
Yeah.
And not to do that, but that's really the fact. It's not just trying, it's just moving. It's having that thought and following through.
Yeah.
I think that was the point too. When I kind of got a connotation, denotation of the word obedient, but the point that we were making, or you were making, and then I just lost it because I was going to say my thought. So Andy, take it away. I did an Angela Murray where I spun around in a circle. I
Murray's
got myself dizzy.
Murray's law.
That'll come to me as soon as Andy's about to say something important.
Yeah, that was a good question, Andy. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, because leaving behind a legacy and leaving that lasting impact is very important, and that's what you're doing. And okay.
Yeah, I told you, as you say something really meaningful, it'll come into my mind. Having amazing thoughts about things that will connect us, that happens a lot for a lot of our creators and artists, but actually the following through. Like we talked about earlier, you focus on the why, and I see the end result, but I can't get there because I only see the end. So there's so many great things I'm going to do someday that I will never get to, but you did it. You had the idea and you made it happen. And I think that's what you said with that simple, I hope I thought I tried in my life.
Oh,
when you know you did so much fucking more than that.
Yeah. So before we end this live, any
doing
last
it is
thoughts,
really
Chris?
fucking important. Just doing it.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna mute because otherwise we'll never get off this, and then I'll mess up the comedy interview.
Oh my God! So any last thoughts, Chris, before we end the live?
I just wanted to thank you and Angela for allowing me to talk about Project 1111. I think everybody, whether it be a share or comment, brilliant questions, by the way, too, as well. I know what it takes to like host these every week, and y'all do it more than once. And just the energy that y'all wake up with, because you have a family, and you know, Angela, you teach, you have like a family of kids and 3 lizards. We all know about. Yeah, I mean, 4 lizards, right? So
I'm sorry, I didn't post this, but a student brought us another leopard gecko the other day. So
damn,
because we were doing the whole I died thing, so I forgot to even let everybody know we're up to 4 lizards now. So I'll have to post about that next week.
4 lizards, and
too many
yeah,
fucking lizards. We are already regretting this.
Mhm.
Just kidding. It's amazing. They're awesome.
My son will love it.
they're beautiful. But I just wanted to say thank you for taking time. I think it's the valuable asset that we all have. Another thing that we all share, and just to take a whole hour and 22 minutes of your time to do this, it's immensely grateful. And I hope it helps, and I hope you get to feel that impact and realize how important you both are in this journey, and how important it is with the outcome too as well. That it's not just me. I may be like leading it, whatever it may be, but I cannot do this alone. And that's the key to understand. Is I need everybody in the comments. I need, if you have capacity, and I'm grateful for it. And I do believe we can make a change that matters.
Wow. Amen. Thank you. Thank you for just being you, man. Again, so much
Thanks, man.
respect for you for what you're doing, and here we are. We're just building bridges. That's all we're doing. We're building the bridge, and we're gonna continue to build this bridge. So thank you so much. Angela, you want to end this and with
Yeah,
last
I
words,
think
and
I was
then
gonna
we end.
actually have to hit the X button. I was like, good thing I was on mute because I was really gonna keep talking. But yeah, thank you guys so much. It's an honor and a privilege. And if you have not signed up for Project 1111, please DM. We're gonna be talking about that all night. If you guys are not doing anything, and at 9 o'clock, we're gonna be talking to, I think, MNC_group, and there's a comedy group. I actually met one of the comedians, and I did comedy for one time in my life. It was hilarious, and it was hilarious. And this guy was kind of heckling me, and I thought he was heckling me, but no, he was just really like laughing at my shit, because then he started talking to me during his set, and everyone was like, stop talking back. It was, oh my God, we're gonna talk about etiquette at a comedy show. And also I want to get into the comedians, like why are poets not as cool as you guys? We're doing the same shit. More importantly, join Project 1111, 11 minutes on November 11th, whenever you want, whatever time that is, wherever you are, join us. There is a group chat if you want to do everybody goes on at one time. And I'm going to hit the X because otherwise I'll keep talking. And hopefully I'll see you guys at 9.
All
And
right. So thank you
so much.
guys.
And I'll see
Yes.
everybody at 11:11 at whatever 11 minutes you're at.